This week's talking point, feeder fishing. Is it an area of the sport that's going to keep growing? Do you think it'll plateau out? Do you think it's just something that's on trend at the moment, or is it something that will just keep on growing?
It's 100% going to keep on growing. We haven't scratched the surface yet. And the reason being is that what I pointed out earlier, feeder fishing there's so much more to it than throwing a feeder in. It's unbelievable when you start doing it. There's massive rewards for people who do it right. It's incredibly diverse in terms of method, cages, bream, skimmers, roach, carp, every fish there is. But more importantly, the effort behind the scenes is a lot less. So, yes, you still have to prepare when you fish at the highest level. But in reality, you could have 2 rods.
It's something.
Solid. I'm going.
Well, this is something that I've said a number of times, and something that I actually really like about feeder fishing in general.
Mm-hmm.
I can have my 3 rods in my ready rod bag, can get to the bank, and I'm set up with it. I set up my box in my usual way, but I'm ready to fish
In no time.
Right. I've not got 20 up-length boxes full of everything from 20s now.
Yeah. Elastics perishing, float rods to set up, and when you go on matches, on a commercial match now, you need a rake of, I see them all, they've got 10 top kits set up and feeder rods. Yeah. What if you draw a pellet waggler peg? 5 rods. So there's a lot. So all of a sudden with feeder fishing, the key is having a nice selection of feeders, making sure you got your hooks tied, make sure you got your rods in your bag. You don't even need to make your rods up. I do because I'm fishing at that level, and if I'm organising matches, I haven't got the time. But you're talking about threading your line through your rings. It's like a 1-minute job, not even that. And I believe that as time goes on, that's only going to get more popular, not just in England, but across Europe. One, because as people get older, their motivations change. And 2, because the cost and the type of fish that you catch, the reward for cost is bigger. You catch a bream on the pole, it's often like, on a natural venue. You could catch 5 or 6 on a feeder, and that applies to a lot of people. So I think you'll find more pleasure anglers doing it as all the gear becomes right for them to do. And I think it's only going to get bigger. Do
you think the fact that the venues are different and generally nicer, I think, is a point?
Yeah, mate.
A lot of them are just nice places to go as well, aren't they?
I like that, Rich. Nicer.
I think it's like it looks like fishing.
Yeah, if you're sat,
like
sat
somewhere
on Porth,
where you would imagine,
or sat on Tunnel or somewhere like that.
Listen,
no offence to Tunnel.
Each to their own.
Yeah.
Right, each to their own. I see pictures. If I can touch a bank with 13 metres of pole, I'm not going there.
Yeah,
because I don't like it. The next guy loves it. He loves to be able to tap his bait in the mud. Fair play, right? So everybody has to do their own thing. So for me, the venues that you fish with a feeder, you're generally going somewhere where you can cast a distance. Therefore, you've got more water in front of you. Therefore, I prefer those sorts of venues. However, I've been and done all the Snake Lakey type games and enjoyed them and caught a lot of fish. And for a lot of people, they're easy to fish because there's less rigs, there's all the rest of it. So each to their own. But I can see people enjoying their time feeder fishing a lot more, and I think we're scratching the surface of what's going to happen.
Do you reckon as well, on the venue side of things, is that going to be a limiting factor in the UK with the bigger kind of natural reservoirs being there's not as many of them about as commercials, or is it going to be that we're going to adapt feeder fishing a bit more to suit the venues?
Maybe. There's been more naturals coming up, but what feeder fishing is doing is what old style match fishing used to do. There's a feeder event this weekend, right, at X big place, right? So people travel to go, and you create this we're all the feeder guys at the feeder venue, right? Whereas if I go to Lindholm, I knew you'd love that.
Maybe I don't want to be part of that group.
But that's what
special
happens.
Handshakes.
All of that. But that's what happens. So in the old days, everyone went to the Trent. We're all the Trent float anglers. Yeah, brilliant. Right? 500 people because there was nowhere else.
Yeah.
When I go to Lindholm, within a 5-mile radius, there's 30 matches of 5 people, 10 people. doing their own thing on their own venue. And I think that feeder fishing has got this, like, let's say there'll be 10 feeder matches at a weekend on the country. They'll all have a good attendance and they'll all be in their own different area. So yes, you're right, it will evolve, but effectively people are enjoying what they're doing because it's almost giving them that sense of together match fishing again, you know.
I think as people get busier as well, like work-life balance and all that, and work-life angling balance, as anglers actually have, I think that feeder thing, it works in so
it's very appealing
well
to a lot of people. Yeah.
Because instead of spending hours on the Friday night when the missus or whoever's going to moan at you for doing that,
or you just want to sit and watch telly.
Yeah. You literally you only need to tie a few extra hooks that you used last time you went. Your rods are already ready. You're ready to go, and you've not upset anybody, and you've been able to go fishing with what is in essence minimal prep in comparison to what
I used to spend my life preparing. Honestly, I used to spend my life like every night going from work preparing gear, and now I'm concentrating more on fishing. So the main thing I teach in coaching is, don't forget, it's all about the fishing. It's not about the gear preparation and all that. And that's what is good about feeder fishing. You don't have to have a lot to then be focused on the fishing. And the element of the fishing that matters, you know, what, where, when. Where are you fishing? What are you fishing with? And how are you making that work?
Yeah.
And that's what makes feeder fishing so good.
Yeah, it seems to have got a lot more, probably from the European side of things, a lot more technical on the actual ground bait side of things and everything. It feels like we're so far behind if you're coming from like a commercial background on that sort of thing.
Well, I'll give you a little example, right, to conclude this off. We went to the World Championships in South Africa this year. Every single team had the same ground bait because there's only one ground bait.
Yeah.
Right? It was coarse or fine. There were your two options. Every single team had a bait tub full of corn. Every single team had some worms, but nobody caught fish on worms, so nobody had some worms. So we had corn and the same ground bait. How on this planet are you going to be any better than the rest? I ended up mixing my ground bait that week 5 or 6 different ways. Sloppy, wet, goes in the feeder, doesn't come out, dry, explodes on the surface, wedges in, comes out after 10 minutes. How do I need to make that ground bait go in the feeder? Then, how much corn do I put in it? Do I fill it full of corn? Do I do that every chuck? Do I put one piece in? Just with corn. What do I put on the hook? Half a piece of corn, 2 pieces of corn? How do I hook that corn to make sure the fish is on? It is literally endless with that. Now throw into the mix casters, maggots, pinkies, worms, pellets.
Different
head
types
explode,
of feeders.
different types of ground bait, different types of feeders. That's it. What feeder did I use with the...
What size of feeder?
How accurate was I? And that was just with... We went there going like, well, it's corn and ground bait. How are we going to stand out? Whoa, mega. You're going to stand out mega by doing these things.
Yeah.
And that's when I realised there's so much to it.
I suppose, it's not the actual volume of prep, but what you're doing needs to be absolutely bang on because of the fact there's not loads of it to do.
Correct. That's exactly right. Everything's right. So
I've been doing it a lot more recently, and I was always obviously editor of pole fishing. I'm anti-feeder.
Of course you are.
Anti-feeder.
Ban it.
It should be banned. Now you've said it, it should be. But I've been doing it a lot more recently.
Yeah.
And just realised that there is so much more to it than what people think, and I enjoy doing it. Enjoy pole fishing, but I realised in my own fishing I needed to have that in my armoury.
Yeah, of course.
There were certain venues, like live near the Gloucester Canal, Division 1 National on the New Junction, Ayr and Calder canals, where I needed it in my armoury, and I was always chuck feeder. It's not going around after 5 minutes, chuck it up the bank, get on the pole.
That's right,
I'm enjoying it.
I think many people are, and I think it's only going to grow, definitely.